Okay. Alright, so it's Wednesday, 15th June 2022, and I have reached a point that, I've realized that it's too late for me. I'm really just too deep in this right now. I don't know how it got to this point, but I'm just hoping that, this video, whoever's watching, if you're watching this right now, if anyone's watching, that someone can learn something from this and maybe just understand how I got here and how I got into all of this. So yeah, this is my most private space. This is where I keep some of my most treasured possessions, my treasured collections. And yeah, let's go. So my journey basically started 5 years ago, right here on Amonkhet, and my friend Gabriel, who got me into all of this, brought me down for a draft, and that's what we played. I had no idea what was going on, I had no idea what the cards were, but I did pull my first ever mythic in Ronas the Indomitable. That was amazing, and I played without sleeves, so the card got pretty damaged. And so this is basically how I store my cards. They're sorted by color and rarity. And this is Amonkhet. All this is Amonkhet cards. And here we have Hour of Devastation cards. And basically all the boxes you see here are full of cards that are sorted in pretty much the same way. So they are all divided using these dividers. The rares and mythics are in front, in the sleeves, and the commons and uncommons are at the back, which are unsleeved but still sorted by color and as well as alphabetically. So yeah, from there we just started getting more into the game, playing standard. Might be hard to believe, but standard used to be fun. And yeah, so you can see that my collection just kept growing and growing. I kept getting more cards to build more decks, and eventually everything just got sorted into these boxes that you see here. But I also ended up with a lot of cards that didn't fit into any of these sets. And these are, kind of like commander set cards and just old cards in general that I just happen to have or happen to win or just bought, These are all the rares sorted by color. These are the uncommons and commons. And honestly, just good cards that I don't use. By limiting myself to this box, I make sure that, this cupboard doesn't overflow with cards. So I do clear this out about once every year when it gets too full. This is my land station. These are all my basic lands here. Snow lands are behind. All these are the snow lands. And this row here is for special lands. Secret lair lands that I like, that I like to use, as well as art cards. And I do like these art cards. I use them as dividers for my decks. And this box is just full of tokens. I like keeping tokens because I like to use the actual tokens. So we have all the color sorted tokens, and these are the double-sided tokens. This is basically my entire shelf of magic cards that are in boxes. However, I also have another shelf up here that are cards that don't fit into these boxes. So the first one here is a binder that's full of legendary creatures. I just kind of enjoyed collecting them, keeping them in case I ever needed to, find an interesting commander to build around. This one here is all the commander staples, commons and uncommons that I would rather keep in one place so that it is easy to find. This is a relatively new binder. This is for all my secret lairs, as well as some other promos that I like to keep in there. This is my EDH or commander staples that are rares and mythics. So previously we looked at this one was commons and uncommons, and this one is for the rares and mythics. So they're kind of separated like that. Then I have these two binders that I used to use until my collection got too big. Currently, one is empty. This one I'm using for some special collections. Right now, it's all the Strixhaven Mystical Archive cards, which I do like as well. I really like the art on those. This is also another empty binder that I used to use as a trade binder. Before COVID hit, you know, I would bring it around and trade cards. This one was one of my first binders that I got. Currently, well, I use them to store planeswalkers for some reason. They're just planeswalkers that don't have a home anywhere else. And this is another empty one that I used to use as a trade binder as well. And we have just a bunch of random stuff here. Dice, sleeves. These are... Ooh, look at that. These are fake. These are my proxies. This is a whole box full of proxies. And yeah, they're just here. Don't worry, none of them are real. You know, otherwise I'd be quite rich. So yeah, that is actually the bulk of my collection where I keep most of my cards. And I do like to keep them pretty well organized. I think it's important, especially when I'm looking for specific cards to put into decks, or just roughly knowing what I have in my collection. But it's a problem because, you know, this shelf eventually is gonna get too full, and I'm probably gonna run out of space in a few more sets. So I try and limit myself to the number of cards that I keep. I do tend to throw away or sell a lot of the cards that I don't use just to make sure I have enough space for everything. But of course, besides cards, I also enjoy playing a lot of Magic, so let's move on to the decks that I have. So first, let's start with Commander decks. And I also limit myself on the number of decks I can have based on the amount of storage I have. So currently I have kind of like these 3 areas to keep my decks. And I like these boulder, transparent clear boulders, so that I know exactly what commander is in them. And I organize them based on the power. So all these clear ones are pretty, you know, standard casual power level. I have these in the frosted ones, which are slightly a higher power level. So I do still have some space to build more decks. You can see that I do have more deck boxes here. This is another deck I have. This is my first ever CEDH deck, which is Urza, Mono Blue Urza, which I haven't touched for a long time, but I did enjoy playing it a lot. And this is an interesting deck box prototype that I did. It's actually a Dragon Shield nest, and I cut out this front so that I could, you know, see the commander that was inside. And you know, if anyone's looking to make a custom deck box, I think this would be the perfect design. You know, you couldn't do this with a boulder, for example, keeping this compact shape and still having access to all your cards. But at the same time, still being able to see what's inside the deck, I think that's very important. So if anyone wants to make that deck box for me, please go ahead, I will buy a few. But besides my commander decks, I also have modern decks and pioneer decks. So currently, these are some of the modern decks I have. Merfolk, we have Burn, this is Fairies, and I have Spirits here, I think these are Spirits. And I also have, well, I have a Skelemental, it's a 12 ball deck, and I have 8 rec here. So these are all my modern decks that I currently have. There's also just a bunch of random cards on my table, just hanging out. Stuff that I want to build, stuff that I want to sell, everything's just lying around. But besides that, I do have other decks. I have more commander decks, I have pioneer decks that are currently in my office, which is at the Games Haven shop. I just kind of leave them there because I play at the events there. But let's move on to some interesting collections that I have and that I have framed up because I really like the art. So the first one is the Throne of Eldraine showcase arts, and these are all in foil. These are all hanging out right here on this very nice frame. It kind of just fits my door as well, so even if I have the door open, I can still see them. And this still remains one of my favorite showcase borders. I just love the detail and just the art and everything about it. My next favorite is actually these Kaldheim flip cards. So this is all magnetic and you can just see the front or the back. That's why I put them like this. They're all foil except for Essica, which is currently in my commander deck, the foil one. So I really like these showcase frames as well. And just the art in general, the whole flavor of the set, one of my favorites. Really cool. I have another one here. These are the uncommons, but yeah, they're just there. I did also do up a whole thing for the Ikoria ones. I really loved the Ikoria arts. I had all the alternate ones, all in foil, the showcase ones, the borderless triomes, borderless planeswalkers, but the frame was just too big. So when I tried to put it up, the frame just kept coming loose. So it's currently just hanging out on my floor, gathering dust, and I'm still trying to decide what to do with that. And of course, just above it, I have these really nice scrolls. These were actually given to me by a patron. Thank you so much. We do use them during our filming, and I have the others at home here, just hanging on my wall. So moving on, I also have this War of the Spark uncut sheet. This was sent by Watsy as compensation for not being able to buy the Mythic collection, I don't know, a couple of years ago now, but very cool. And related to that, going back to my desk where I have a bunch of junk stuff, I'm actually working on collecting, framing up all of these showcase, stained glass planeswalkers. So I'm just slowly trying to collect all of them and hoping to put them up in a nice frame all together once I get them all. Another collection that I'm working on are all these new Streets of New Capenna gilded foils. So I really like the gilded foil treatment that they did for this, and I have almost pretty much everything that I want already. I just haven't had the time to put them up yet, but really looking forward to this one. And hidden here in the corner of my room is another small collection. This is from Ixalan. These were the alternate arts of the flip enchantment land things. And these were actually, I got these from Matthew. So he sold them to me as a set. I really like the art on these. And I just think that they're just super cool looking. So yeah, I think that's about it for my entire collection. It's grown a lot over these 5 years, and I do enjoy collecting cards, just seeing them and being able to build decks when I'm at home, having the cards that I need. Although it has taken a lot of time of organizing and sorting and figuring out where everything goes. But at the end of the day, I think it's something I enjoy doing. It's a hobby, and it's a game that I love playing as well. So yeah, please subscribe, comment, and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And let me know about your own collection. Looking forward to read your comments. See you next time. Bye.